If someone wants to be a specialist in someone, you need to get educated. That's number one. Think getting out there, getting involved with your industry, getting involved with where the end product ends out. Make sure you know your target market. If you have several target markets, then separate out your scheme and your model. I find that people nowadays don't want to put the work in that it takes to become reputable and successful. And
Uh,
it's a little frustrating for me when I see the younger generation that thinks they're going to get rich by not working hard.
Hello, this is Mitch Tarr. I'm the founder and CEO of Zin Marketing Inc. I just had the most delightful conversation with Jacqui Grande, who is the CEO and founder of Radiance International. And we talked about online reputation. And she's been in the business of creating custom jewelry and finding gemstones and gems internationally for, I should say, decades, because she's been doing it a long time. And we talked about how the younger kids are sort of learning how to learn today. But it's just an excellent conversation about marketing and positioning and finding your audience and getting in the groove of knowing who you serve and who you are and protecting that reputation like crazy. I hope you enjoy it. Hi, Jacqui. My name is Mitch.
Hi, Mitch. How are you?
Yeah, I'm great today. Thank you very much for joining us. So let's just roll the clock back a bit and tell me how you got started in this space.
I started buying and selling gemstones. I'm a gemstone dealer and gemologist, and I ended up taking a trip to Sri Lanka and spending a lot more time than I had planned buying gemstones and selling them internationally. First, selling them in Asia, and then also bringing them back to the United States. And I got involved with mining over there, so it took me there a lot more. So I spent quite a bit of my time in my early years in Asia. And then now I started a line of jewelry that is more geared towards retail, or I at times will sell it to stores who will then sell it to retail. So I'm, whether it be loose stones or finished pieces, I do both.
Yeah. So whereabouts along that path was it that you decided I can do gemstones, but I should also do some design as well?
Well, it must have been, I think, in the late 80s, early 90s. I think I'm aging myself. Um, and I was doing a show in Hong Kong, and I was doing a trade show, actually, a gemstones show, and I had some of my pieces there. And I was picked up by a huge Japanese conglomerate that wanted me to produce items and sell them in Japan at various jewelry stores to the public. So I started taking trips to Japan, and they would come here to the United States. And eventually, I became a well known designer in Japan at that time, and did just traveled through Japan and sold my pieces to different jewelry stores. And it was actually a great market until the Japanese had a financial downfall. And I was very lucky to get my stuff out when I could. But it was very successful. And that's what pushed me into designing, because I thought, boy, people like my design, so I may as well.
Yeah. And are your designs one-offs? Are all of them unique, or are there?
Yeah, they're one of a kind. Um, I've always done, I've always said to my clients, you pick the gemstone first and then you design the ring around the gemstone, because of the fact that you wouldn't choose a frame and run around and try to find a picture that goes in the middle. So it's the same kind of idea. The frame just basically highlights the gemstone. It should anyway, if you're interested in fine gemstones.
Yeah. So, and how is your business split today? Is how much of it is gemstones and how much of it is design?
I would say it's about 50-50 now.
50-50?
I still sell loose stones. Back then, it was pretty much 90% loose gemstones, and 10% with the Japanese market. And then that grew at that point, and I started getting a name for myself as well in other countries. And in Dubai, I showed some of my pieces and at a show there, and I did well. So I pretty much have an international market for my jewelry and loose gems.
You must be doing a tremendous amount of travel.
I was. I had been doing a lot of traveling. Every week I was in another country or in another state and doing trade shows. For the early part of my business, I did like 30 shows a year, and that was almost every week. And it was tiring. I lived on the road, was rarely home. And I think doing that and putting the work and the effort and the hardness it was to sleep on airplanes and get up the next day and show. I mean, it was a tough life, but it got me out there and it got me the recognition for being all over the place and being able to show my wares. So I attribute it to my hard work because I did work very hard. Getting older now, and I've got to slow down a bit.
Oh, I know that feeling.
Yeah.
So uh, then, if you were picking your ideal prospect, if you were looking for a new distributor or a new retailer, how would you decide where to go? Do you follow are there countries that you prefer to work in, or are there geographies like a cities versus rural, or did you and how much have you been getting involved in online businesses?
Okay, well, I go when you do a trade show, you'll find people that are interested, stores that would come up to my booth and be interested in my line and invite me to do a show at their facility, at their store, the jewelry store. And I would do jewelry store shows, and some of the places have me back on a regular basis, so their clients know me and they come in for the show because they want to buy a new gemstone. And I also do education. Being a gemologist, I will um, have little cocktail hours in the evening. The stores like to promote something like that, where you educate the customer instead of just selling to them. And I've done a lot of mining and rare stone type of um, informational seminars. That's one way. The other way is I have cold called on people before. It's not as safe anymore as it used to be, but I've done the cold calling. And it doesn't matter if it's rural or if it's, downtown or whoever is interested in gems. And there is a following out there of people that are interested for unusual, rare items, especially the mom and pop stores that service and uniqueness is what sells their product because larger department stores all have sapphires, rubies, and diamonds. But to have something unusual like an alexandrite or a spinel or something that is far more unique than the average jewelry store has, those are the type of stores I focus on. I found my niche there and pushed that direction.
And where have you ended up price wise on the price scale?
Do you mean my retail product?
Yeah.
Okay. So I would say my retail products average about $5,000 a piece. They could go up to 25,000. I have had pieces that were 250,000. So I have sold to Tiffany's over the years. I've sold to some of the bigger jewelry stores that want super fine, rare Padparaja sapphires that are very rare, or Periba tourmaline. So it depends on.
Wow. So at this stage, then, how much of your business is repeat customers, and how much are you sort of mining for new people?
I would say 50% is return customers. Um, they fall more into the retail client, well, that's not true because I have stores that call me on a regular basis on my wholesale end. I have several stores that call regularly whenever their client needs a stone, or if, say, one of their clients lost a center stone and needs to replace that stone. They'll call me and say, "Hey, I need this dimension, and it has to be this wide and this long." And I'll search my inventory, and if I have it, I'll send it out to them, and they'll sell it to their client. So I'd say probably 75 to 80% is repeat customer.
Yeah. So then, do you keep a email contact list of all your
I do.
partners and customers and end users?
I do, and I have an email blast that I send out once a month or like during holidays more so because I want the gemstone and jewelry store people, buyers to know. that I'm available to them during the holiday seasons or whenever they need something, if they have a special need. So I do send emails out to them, as well as I have started doing sending out um, a retail client list. Started with just being friends locally, and it just turned out to be huge.
Yeah, that's very interesting. So now you said you were slowing down a little bit. Um, are you just going to be at a, at a lesser work level, or are you transitioning to something else, or are you just going to keep going until?
No, I'll keep going. I enjoy what I'm doing. I really love my business. It's, you know, I have that disease that I never have any money because I'm always buying a rare gemstone. It's like that's the gemstone dealer disease. We can't get enough gemstones, especially if it's something you think you're never going to see again. So I do have quite a big collection, and I don't plan on slowing down the business as much as the travel. I'm just traveling a lot less and trying to work through online um, tactics or through email, through sending pictures to some of my clients and seeing if they want to put some the items in their store. And I still will travel to stores if a store would want me to come do a seminar. I still do that. I just don't want to do as much as the overseas. Now the way that business has changed, I have so many great contacts in Sri Lanka and in Asia and other countries and in South America and Brazil, where I don't have to travel so much there to get the gemstone because I just tell my partners in that area that that I need a certain stone or I need a parcel of stones. And also being connected to American Gem Trade Association and the International Colored Stone Association allows me to deal with more reputable people. And I was on the board of directors of ICA, the International Colored Stone Association. So the method and the way from mine to market needs to be really secure because there's so much fraud out there in our business. I'm sure you know everyone's been taken here or there when they bought some piece of jewelry. So it's very important to go through a reputable jeweler.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So, how would you go? That was probably something we should talk about. How do you go about establishing your credibility and your reputation in an environment when you're not physically there?
That's really hard to do. I must say that I established my credibility because I was there. I attended board meetings and I would do trips, mining trips, and I would set up mining trips. And I was very entrenched in the business. And I believe that that's what got me to where I am. That's what gave me the reputation I have and that I stood up for consumer rights. I've been known to be a pain in the neck in some industries because I stand up for the consumer, and I feel everything should be they should be informed of what they're buying. If it is a synthetic or a treated stone, they need to know that. Whereas a lot of people aren't even educated enough about that to tell their consumer that the stone is treated or how the stone is treated. So I'm a stickler for that as far as my business, but I'm also, that's why I like to educate people because it's really important when you sell an item that you stand behind your product. So
Yeah,
I think in answering your question, how did I get a good reputation? I think just by being very active in the industry. I mean, I encourage people to join your associations, whatever industry you're in. Um, the education goes a long way, and you learn so much when you are a part of an association that is in your particular business area, whatever you are working with.
yeah. Do you publish anything or any educational material in terms of beyond what you send in email?
I have. I started doing it in local um, publications here. I went to one of the local publications. I'm in San Diego, and talked to them about me writing a monthly educational thing because it's one of my favorite things to do. It lasted for a while, but I probably did that more of that when I was younger. I was in a lot of magazines at one time. I did write a lot and and submit them to certain magazines. I think that's a great thing to do when you're trying to build your reputation as well.
Yeah. And is the sort of information that you publish, is it like timeless? The things that were true about gems 20 years ago are still true now?
That's a good question. Um, Sometimes yes, and sometimes no, because treatment changes over time. The fact of how certain gemstones are made in the earth and the type of inclusions that they would have, like a lot of diamonds, for example, have peridot inclusions. So that's very common. And it would always be like that because of the structure of the rock that it grows in. Sapphires, for example, will always be a metamorphic type rock that grows in a certain structure, an octahedron. And so those things are set in stone. and the the other thing is, though, when you get to the market side of it, lots of cutters, oil stones or treat stones at the medium and middle level to try to enhance stones. Some people that are doing this add dopants to the treatment so that they're they fluoresce or something like that. So they're not trying to hide it. They're trying to sell their product and say, we added this, and you can tell because it fluoresces. But there are lots of people that add oils or some type of infusion into the stone and don't, they misrepresent because they're trying to sell a cheaper stone for a lot of money. So there is that going on in our industry, and that's why it's really important. I don't like to capitalize on that or talk a lot about that, but it is something that people need to know. You need to trust who you're buying from. So when I
Yeah.
write the articles that are the most exciting to me are the articles that discuss treatments and the change in treatment or what was found here, or somebody submitted something to a laboratory and the laboratory found that it was a coated stone, it was coated in something. So then all of us look out on the market to see, make sure we're not buying such stone without knowing.
And is that something that the retailers are keeping their eyes on or interested in, or is
No.
that more at the consumer level?
Uh, oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. The consumer versus the stores, you mean?
The yeah, the stores.
Um, a lot of stores do because they're educated, and a lot of stores don't because it's a lot of work. I mean, to keep up on, and if they don't have a gemologist on staff that actually keeps up with the changes in the market and the changes in treatments, then they aren't as aware. I see so many people that buy gems from cruise ships when they come back, and they have revolving gem dealers on cruise ships. I don't know. I'm sure some of them have regular ones that are reputable, but I've seen so many people come back from trips and it's a synthetic stone, and they have no reprieve. They can't go back to the and ask for their money back. So, be careful when you're buying out there. But I I think that people try to educate themselves. They really do in our market. Everybody tries, but it is a lot of work. It's constant.
Yeah. So this is a question that not many people can answer, I bet. But as the years, decades go by, has the industry changed all that much, or is there underlying still the same sorts of things happening now as there was in the 80s or 90s, for example?
Well, what's very interesting, if you go back to the 20s and the 40s during the war, we see some magnificent antiques from them. For them, the artwork on the metal is fabulous, unbelievable. But the stone is glass because they didn't have access to gemstones during the war. So back in that era, they would create these. That's why you see so much beautiful artwork from back in the 20s and the 40s, the retro type of designs. And then there's a piece of glass in it, but it has value because of the design. I think as people get to know and educate stones, and there's no longer a war giving them access now to gemstones, you now find people that want really fine stones in the middle and also creative art with the stone. So I'm also like, okay, now what's changing? The price of gold's gone up. Price of gold's gone tremendously up in the last year. So people have converted to jewelry that is more larger gemstone with less metal because it's more affordable to choose a larger gemstone and put very little metal on it, on the ring, just enough to hold the stone and make it wearable. So yeah, the market changes a lot. The prices change of golden stones, and of course, stones that are rarer. We might have a mine that produces a certain stone, and that's it. We only have one mine, like Paraíba tourmaline. It's very rare to get Brazilian Paraíba tourmaline. But if there was suddenly a new source for it for the same type, the prices, of course, would go down a bit. So the prices fluctuate based on supply.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, though, it's really buyer beware. You have to know or trust or have some way of validating that what you're looking at is what it is.
I would, or if you were to go somewhere and they give you an appraisal or a certification, and it's a place you could bring it back that ends up not being that, then go for it. But to make it easy, just work with someone that you trust. I think that is the most important. It makes it life easier.
Yeah. And does that mean I have to go? I have to stay closer to home, or I have to go like if I go to Singapore, am I okay in the shops there, or should I stay in LA and because it's where I am?
Um, I think what other countries have different regulations. They have different trade regulations, so they are not. Um, they may not have to disclose, and that's why I think it's important for you to work through someone who might be an AGTA member or a Jewelers Board of Trade member or a member of an organization that abides by the rules. And then you have arbitration there if something were to happen. But if you're out buying gemstones on your own in a foreign country, you're totally on your own. Yeah, I can't say that it's, I mean, it's difficult. It's like any commodity, especially in Asia, they like to duplicate things and they sell things that aren't real. It's just the nature of the market.
Yeah. Well, so my last question is really around guidance or advice. You've built a long career based on a solid foundation of experience and expertise and reputation. What advice would you give to someone who wants to do that for themselves?
In my particular industry,
Yeah, in your industry, yeah, you probably know that the best.
um, well, if someone wants to be a specialist in someone, you need to get educated. That's number one. Um, I think getting out there, getting involved with your industry, getting involved with where the end product ends up, make sure you know your target market. If you have several target markets, then separate out your scheme and your model. Um, I find that people nowadays don't want to put the work in that it takes to become reputable and successful. And it's a little
100%.
it's a little frustrating for me when I see the younger generation that thinks they're going to get rich by not working hard. And it does. I mean, I don't believe that. I believe you have to work hard. You have to put your mind to it. You have to eat, breathe, and do your business for many years before you become successful. You have to work hard and you have to work smart. I think when I was younger, I didn't work as smart. And as I've gotten older, I've learned to um, maybe save some of my energy and think more, sit and think more about how I want to approach my target. And I think things like this, what you're doing is great because this helps people start their business. It makes them think, how can I, from listening to other people, how can I start a business?
Yeah. I met a professional trumpet player one time, and he's older. He's had a long career, and he said the same thing. He said the kids today don't want to run the scales and do the practice and spend 6 hours a day practicing. They just want to play. And I said to him, and I'll say it to you, I'll pose the same question. Is it possible that we're seeing, like, he's a professional, he's still doing the drills and the practice and the scales at the tail end of his career. There is likely another one like him out there who's only 20 years old. But not everybody who's 20 years old is like that. There's still those professionals that are dedicated and, they've got the commitment. They're still the special ones. And I wonder if we're just not seeing those as easily because we see everything else that isn't that. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think there may be less because of the way we raise our children nowadays, with a lot of freedom and not so much structure. But I do think that there are young people that are innately like that. They're innately go-getters, and they will succeed because they do work hard. And I see people that work for me that pick my brain. I mean, they're always asking me questions, and they always want to know why I'm doing what I'm doing. And I love that because that's how you learn. I mean, I remember picking people's brain, and you can also, I'm as a woman in the gem business, it was very difficult when I first started mining because there weren't any. And I was probably one of the two women in the United States going overseas to buy gemstones. And this was back in the 80s. And I modeled myself after another woman because I watched what she did successfully and what she did not so successfully. And I picked her brain because I wanted to be successful. And I think I think a lot of people nowadays are afraid to ask questions, afraid to ask, how did you get where you got? How did you get there? Or why are you doing it this way? I think that's so important to model yourself after someone that's successful.
Yeah. And at the same time, there's just so much available information to learn anything you want at your fingertips that we never had when we were younger.
Exactly.
So
yeah. Yeah, it can be confusing for young people nowadays. I can see that. Yeah, but
I
even if,
wonder.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Even if you go in one direction, I was a biologist. So, I mean, even if you go in one direction and you decide, you know what, this is not for me, I want to go another direction. Whatever direction you're going in, put your mind and your energy into that.
Yeah.
You can change and go another direction. You're still learning.
Yeah. I wonder if we're seeing some of those developing Jackies on YouTube or TikTok or any of the public platforms today. We just are presented with so much visual video representation.
Yeah, I'm sure that's true.
Yeah, they must be out there.
Oh, I'm sure they're out there. I mean, I think a lot of people are just born that way, and it's hard if you're not born to push yourself. I mean, it's tough. It's really tough. But if you're a go-getter, just focus and funnel your energy in the direction that you are successful in. Whatever you're getting back, what you're giving, and you're enjoying it. Enjoying it's a big part of it. If you're working in a job or a profession that you don't really enjoy, that's hard. But if you love what you're doing, that energy just comes.
Yeah, it makes it easier for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, I think we've got a lot to work with. I really appreciate your openness and advice and guidance and experience. It's an amazing story.
Thank you. This was enjoyable. Thank you.
Oh, thanks very much.
And my business name is Jacqui Grande Fine Gemstones and Jewelry, and it's under Radiance International for loose gems. And they can Google me, whatever. whatever. I have a lot of gemstones.
I hope you enjoyed that and found some information in there that is actionable and helps you to grow your business. As you may or may not know, it's in marketing. We've been doing email marketing for companies for 18 years now. And we know a thing or two because we've learned a thing or two. But I want to make you an offer. The first thing we do when we take on a new e-commerce client is to build out their welcome series. It's not flashy, but it is consistently one of the largest revenue generators of all the flows that we install. And most brands don't have a good one. So if you feel like you might not have a good one, I want to give you a head start. Send me your site. Just send me an email to mitch@zinmarketing.com. And I'm about a custom welcome series flow for your brand. The flow, the angles, all the copy that you use. Basically enough material to basically make it live. Free money, if you will. Just done for you. No strings attached. I'll send everything back via email. Send an email to mitch@zinmarketing.com. Free welcome flow.